Hi, welcome. This is Ty from NAV. I'm excited to be here today. We're going to talk about something that I think is really important for a lot of small business owners for a number of reasons, not the least of which is it's something that will be a part of every SBA loan application you likely make, or if you try to get a small business loan from a traditional financing company like a bank or credit union or something like that. And there are also some other reasons why I think it's important. And so we're going to talk about those. So let's jump in to our presentation. And how come? Hold on, this is me here. Okay, here we go. How to create a business plan to prepare for business financing, as well as other things. So we're going to talk about a business plan. Hopefully I know what I'm talking about a little bit more than I know how to run a slide deck. So why do you need a business plan? There's a lot of reasons. Primarily, I think it helps you codify exactly what you want to do with your business. Now, I remember the first business I started, I was kind of frustrated at the idea that I needed a business plan because, heck, I knew what I was going to do. I knew what I wanted to do. But I think that this helps you formalize just exactly what you want to do. And even more than that, it helps you keep track of how your business is doing compared to the plan. So, if you set goals and objectives for every year, you can kind of measure how you're doing as opposed to how the plan was laid out. And it also will help you secure some types of business financing. I don't consider the business plan a one and done sort of thing. I think it's more of a living document that you're going to, if you create it and put it in a drawer, it is not going to provide you much value. But if you regularly visit the plan and look at how you're doing compared to the plan, then it becomes a valuable tool because sometimes in the heat of battle, you forget about what those original plans were. So let's talk a little bit about financing and maybe what lenders look for in a business plan. They want a clear and concise description of what your business is going to do. What are you going to do? What are you going to use that revenue that you're borrowing for? Do you have a good loan purpose, for example? One of the things I think we've talked about before is when you borrow, you want to have a reason to borrow in mind. It's going to help you make a lot of decisions about how much money you need to borrow, what kind of terms make sense. And if it's outlined in your business plan, then the lender is going to look and ask those same questions. And they're going to measure how much money you're asking for and compare it to what you're going to do with it. Also, you want to include projections that illustrate what the revenue is going to provide for your business. For example, if you're borrowing to get inventory that you can sell quickly at an increased profit because you're buying in bulk or things like that, or if you're borrowing to build a new location across town and increase your market share, or if you're a restaurant and you're borrowing to extend the outside eating area of your business, what kind of revenue will that generate? The lender wants to know these things. The bank wants to know these things so that they can determine whether or not it's going to help you repay the loan or not. Also, they're going to want to know what the financial plans are for your business. So if you were to create an outline of a business plan, this is how it's going to look. You're going to have an executive summary, which is basically a paragraph summarizing just exactly what you want to do and what your plans are for the business. You're going to need to include a market analysis where you're going to compare what you're doing and how you're doing it to others in your market. Are you better at something? Are you borrowing so that you can be better at something? What's the market analysis and where do you fit in? Is the market saturated? Is Is there an opening in the market that you can capture? They're also going to want a list of your products and services. They want to understand what it is that your business does, if whether you're selling products or whether you're offering services. What's the market size, and what are your sales forecasts and projections? How are you going to impact the market generally? And those are things that need to be included. Also, they're going to want to know about your management group. They're going to want to know, besides you, are there others with experience in your industry that are going to be a part of this? And they're looking for good, strong, reliable management, because they want to make sure that you're able to repay the loan, and they're trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's to make sure that you're in a position to successfully navigate what you need to do to take advantage of the financing. They're also going to want to, if you can include financial charts that show your growth trajectory and your projected growth trajectory, they're going to want to see that, as well as a financial plan summary. So if I were to outline the average business plan for you, this is how I would do it. So the executive summary, let's dive in a little bit more. You're going to describe your business, including your company history, the current business conditions, industry trends, and what makes your business unique. What are you doing that's different than anybody else in the industry? Why you formed your company. What was the problem you were trying to solve with your business? What's the nature of the product and services you provide? And what successes have you experienced so far? A business that is having success is more likely to get financing than a business that is struggling, particularly where a banker is concerned or the SBA. And what is your competitive advantage? What sets you apart? I attended a lecture on this one time, and they said that Volvo and Honda both have the same safety rating. But if you ask what's the safest car in the world, at least they used to answer, well, it was Volvo, because Volvo's competitive advantage was the safety of their car. Also, years ago, there was and you can test me on this. Years ago, there was a restaurant in Florida that always had more people waiting to get in than there were spaces to get them in. And so there was a company called JTEC that made a little pager that they could give their customers. And when their table was ready, they would click on the pager, and it would notify them that their table was ready. If you've been out to dinner, you've all experienced this. Well, Motorola at the time was like the king of pagers. They were selling more pagers than everybody else. But when they tried to get into that market, they didn't have JTEC's competitive advantage. JTEC could say, 80% of all the restaurants in the United States use our pager for this. And so you can test me on this. The next time you go into a restaurant and they give you a pager, look at it and see if it's a JTEC pager, because dollars to donuts, it's a JTEC pager. You're also going to want to include the opportunity. Is there a chance for you to increase market share? Any research that you've done that demonstrates that, they're going to be more inclined to listen to than, I just have a feeling that we could increase market share. The problem, what is the problem you see in the market that you are uniquely positioned to fill? And what is that solution? How are you going to solve that problem? These are the things that need to be included in your business plan. So let's talk a little bit about market analysis. So when you do your market analysis, you're going to want to define what the market is, kind of who the players are, the target market, describe the characteristics of your customer, break down the buying habits that they have, their interests, the things that are going to motivate them to buy from you. And then you're going to want to do a dive into who the competitors are and what what your competitive position is to overcome them. Now there are both direct competitors and indirect competitors, people that directly compete with you and others that don't. The way I look at it from a content perspective, at NAV we have direct competitors that are competing for your loan dollars, and we have indirect competitors that are creating the same types of content that we create that we also compete with. So you want to include both direct competitors and your related competitors that maybe aren't competing directly, but they're in the space and they're making a difference. You want to include market trends. Is basically, the market improving? Is it getting better or is it declining? 100 or so years ago, if you were a buggy whip manufacturer and you wanted to enter the buggy whip market and you did it at the wrong time, if you entered the market when things were on the decline, then your business wasn't going to last very long. So the banker wants to know, the lender wants to know that your market is in a good spot, that there is room for growth. And then you want to create a list of the places where you got your information. And primary sources are better than anecdotal sources. So, go to the federal government is a good source. The market, your industry is going to have research that talks about the industry you're in. If you can access that, that's a good source. And, the primary news outlets are going to publish information about this as well. So just make sure that you include the resources where you got your information. So now let's talk a little bit about products and services. What are the features and benefits of your product and service? And why would I choose to buy from you instead of from ABC competitor down the street? Explain how you acquire, produce, or develop your products or your services. What is it that, what is it about what you're doing that is different? Maybe you have a special recipe for meatloaf that is better than any other meatloaf recipe out that in the market, or maybe the way you manufacture your widgets is stronger or better, or will last longer, or will perform better. Those are things that you're going to want to include in those. Pardon me. Also, what makes your product or service unique or better or faster or more durable? What is it about that the way you produce your product that makes it better? Now let's talk about the marketing plan. Make sure you include information about your pricing. How do you price compared to your competitor? What way are you branding your business? Are you the low price leader? Are you the luxury brand? Those are things that the lender is going to want to know. And what are your sales strategies? Are you strictly online? Do you have a direct sales team? Are you doing email marketing? Are you making phone calls? Do you have distributors or affiliates? What are your sales strategies? And if you're offering incentives, if you're offering promotions, coupons, samples, things like that, include that as well. As well as advertising. Are you using an agency? Is it something you're doing yourself? Are you sending out postcards? Are you doing traditional advertising? Are you doing online advertising? I was part of a business once where every Wednesday night we sent out postcards to all of the customers in our database, and the phone started ringing on Thursday and would ring until Saturday, and then the next Wednesday we would send out another special. So what type of advertising strategies are using, and does it work? And then networking. If you're part of an industry group or a community group or something like that, people are going to, the lender's going to want to know that. And And this is one that was always a challenge for me because I felt like I was just making stuff up, but it's not. There's a science to it. But what are your sales projections? What are your forecasts? A, a lender might call it a pro forma performance report or something like that. But as you look into the future, based upon what your success to date has been, what's your sales forecast for the year, for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? Where do you expect to be? Um, and then divide your projected monthly sales into categories, maybe product lines. If you sell parts, what are the widgets doing? What are the bolts and nuts doing? What are the, just divide it up into categories. Look, if you have more than one location, divide it up through the locations. If you have different types of customers that buy different types of things, break it out into the different customers that you have, maybe territories, maybe if you service multiple contracts, maybe this contract generates this kind of revenue, this contract generates this kind of revenue, and forecast into the future with a growth rate so that you can see what the benefit is as well as the lender. And determine your annual sales by the same categories. Using your records to make your projections, be sure to account for any seasonal fluctuations. Now, I have been in many businesses that weren't seasonal per se. However, revenues ebbed and flowed throughout the year, even though we wouldn't have been what was traditionally called a seasonal business. So as you're making your projections, take that into account as well. And then you're going to want to describe your management. What's your legal structure? Are you a DBA? Are you an S corporation, a sole proprietor, or an LLC? That, believe it or not, that's going to make a difference. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, that does not mean that you won't be able to find a lender or that you can't find a lender. But if you have a formalized entity like an LLC or an S corporation or something like that, then lenders are going to be more inclined to offer you a loan because the formal business structure offers them some protection that you are real, that you're substantial, that your numbers are correct, and that your books are kept. One of the things about this time last year, when the PPP came out, there were a lot of sole proprietors that couldn't demonstrate the information the SBA wanted. And part of it was because they didn't have to. They were, as a sole proprietorship, they didn't need to create those records. Whereas if you're a corporation or an LLC, you do. So a lender's going to want to know what your legal structure is. And they're also going to want to know what type of talent you have in place to, produce the products that you do, to manage your sales team, for your marketing. When you go in and get a loan, lenders basically are investing in people. So they want to know that you have the people in place that can run your business successfully and turn a profit. This is super important. So make sure you include a management survey. And also, as you're putting up your financial charts, or your financial reports, charts are always easier to read. Include sales revenue, profit and loss projections. Where is the break even? Produce a balance sheet, and in the resources section below, there's going to be lots of information that you can kind of cull through if you have questions about just how to do that. This is one area where it might make a lot of sense to visit with your accountant to make sure that you understand what these reports are saying, as well as as well as the lender that you're going to. I once spoke with a lender, it's been several years ago, and his comment to me was, if I can tell more about the health of the business by looking at their financial reports and financial charts, than they can, I'm not going to lend to them. So you not only need to produce these documents, but you also need to understand them. And I'm of the opinion that if your accountant or CPA or whoever your financial advisor is not willing to explain them to you so that you can understand what you might not understand, then it might be time to find another person to do that for you. You're also going to want to include your financial plan summary. How much money are you looking for? How are you going to use the funds? And I kind of intimated this in the very beginning. Be specific about what you're going to do with the money and be realistic. Don't, if you need to buy, if like let's say you're borrowing to buy a pizza oven in a restaurant, and the pizza oven, I'm not a restaurateur, so I don't know how much a pizza oven costs, but let's just for the sake of argument say it costs $100,000. If you go to the bank looking for $500,000, that's not realistic. You want to be specific, and actually your loan purpose should drive that. So if it costs $1,000, that's what you should ask for. And distinguish your capital request in either one of three ways: working capital, growth capital, or equity capital. Think about what type of financing you're looking for, what type of funding you're looking for. And then before you apply, you want to be as prepared as possible. So you want to see if you qualify. Make sure you understand what your credit profiles look like. What's your personal credit score? You know, the personal credit score for a lot of the traditional lenders who are going to want to see a business plan, they have thresholds. If you're going into the bank, they're going to want to see a credit score of at least 680, and they would prefer to see you in the 700s. If you want to go into the SBA's threshold is a little lower. It's going to be around 650 somewhere. So if your credit score is 600, you know that you're not going to qualify for either an SBA loan or a traditional loan from the bank or credit union. Now, most of the time, if you go to the website of the lender, they're going to tell you what their thresholds are. They're going to give you an idea of what's required to qualify. Then you're going to want to be prepared. Make sure that you have everything in place so that you can go in with the proper documentation. You know, you're going to want all of the things that in the financial section that we talked about, you know, your profit and loss, your revenue, your expenses, a cash flow statement. And most lenders today are going to want to have access to your business banking account. And if they ask for automatic access, give it to them. This makes the process easier for them and streamlines it for you. It makes it a lot easier for both of you. And if for some reason you don't qualify, it's okay. Start all over again and take those steps to improve your qualifications. And this is another area where I think the business plan will help you, because it allows you to set goals and objectives and measure yourself as to how you are comparing to those goals. And, you know, if you don't qualify, it's okay. Just make sure that you're taking steps to improve. And fortunately, the things that we pay attention to are the things that we positively impact. So, you know, don't be afraid to start all over again and work to improve your business plan for next time. So, how to get started. You can review your business financing profile at NAV for free. Go to nav.com and you can see what your personal credit score is and what your business profile looks like. Work on your business plan. Understand your qualifications and areas where you need to improve. And you know, a great way to start building business credit is with a business credit card. You need to build credit to get credit, I guess. And this is a good way. They'll often rely on your personal credit score to determine whether or not you get a business credit card. And you need a business bank account. Most lenders won't even talk to you if you don't have a bank account. And you can go to NAV to review your matches and see if there's a loan that suits your business. Also, a couple other resources that you may want to consider as you build out your business plan. There is likely where you do business a SCORE chapter or an SBDC or both. And both of those organizations can help you create a business plan that will resonate with a lender. Don't be afraid to get some advice and go to people who have done it before. These are people that have been there and done that. They can definitely help you. And I hope this information was helpful. A business plan is really important, much more important than I realized when I was starting my first business, because I thought it was redundant, but it's not. It helps you put your thoughts down, and it gives you something to measure against. If I had a business plan as a small business owner, I would look at it at least once a year and see how I was doing compared to the plan and make adjustments, edit where you need to. It should be a living document that grows with your business. So with that, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next time.